So the job never ends and the job follows you around. But, what's interesting to me about the whole concept of being a founder is that this was literally just an idea in my head a long time ago. And of course, I thought about it a lot and, really put a lot of effort into creating a sustainable supply chain. And, now we're getting a real sales pipeline that, hopefully becomes more automated in the future and working with distributors and things like that. But, your company has to be an extension of you. But what's most interesting is when it evolves beyond yourself.
From the cubicle to the lab, the studio to the war room, climbing the corporate ladder, or joining a scrappy startup, experience a day in the life of the jobs you want.
You're now listening to the Experience a Diddle podcast. You'll hear from professionals, entrepreneurs, and recent grads, all inspiring you to gain experience beyond the classroom and launch a career of your own.
We're your hosts, Christabel
and Matt Poe.
Do you have an idea for a company but not sure how to start things up? Are you a student striving to be an entrepreneur but haven't cracked the code on how to manage classes and a business? Welcome to the second installment of Experience a Diddle's Starting Up in School series with Seastraws founder and CEO Antonio DiMeglio.
In this A Diddle episode, you'll experience a day in the life of a full-time college student whose social mission of sustainability is the motivation behind his daily grind as an entrepreneur.
My name is Antonio DiMeglio. I'm the founder and CEO of Seastraws.co. We're a compostable paper straw company aiming to displace plastic straws in the United States nationwide. Started right out of here in New York City, so we're a part of the New York City startup scene. As the founder and CEO, I believe that my job depends on two responsibilities, primarily product development, as well as partnering with other firms, so firm relationships with other ones. This is a day-to-day job. It's my full-time job, and we currently have a team of 7, and it's been a great ride so far.
Team of 7?
Yeah, team of 7.
Wow. So, and when was the company officially founded?
So the company was actually officially founded last year. I got the idea, and I decided to work on primarily creating a supply chain, a sustainable supply chain. And that's super important to us because we need to make sure that we have the highest quality product. All of our straws are made in the United States, which is something that we are very proud of, with the highest level of Forest Stewardship Council certification. So it's an FSC 100 certification, which means that 100% of paper in our sea straws come from the renewable forests, certified renewable forests in the United States. It's a beautiful thing.
You wake up at 6:40.
Yeah, it's quite early.
Yes, very early. Earlier than me.
Yeah. I like to commute to the city every day. I think that it's very important for me to be in a place where I'm motivated to work with others and also force myself to get outside and talk to potential users and things like that. I could technically do my job from home in Fort Lee, but I would prefer to come to the city because there's more opportunities. And every morning, wake up at 6:40. It's the same exact song. It's Drive It Like You Stole It by the Glitch Mob.
So have you always been a morning person or?
Yeah, actually, I think it's actually really important to get up early. And that comes from my grandfather. My grandfather was an immigrant from the U.S., from Italy here. And he always gets up very early. And I actually, my first job when I was little was working with him in this apartment building that he worked at. And we would get up very early and he would just literally beep the horn. And I would have to get outside immediately as he beeped the horn. I would kind of have to guess what time to wake up. So I would always have to wake up earlier because I wouldn't want him to be outside.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's 7:30 in the morning, and Antonio's riding the bus across the George Washington Bridge.
He's reading Shoe Dog by Nike founder Phil Knight. He recommends it if you're looking for a narrative-style book for inspiration. Anyway, it's time to start his day.
Yeah, around 8:45, I would get to our co-working space. So finding a space is actually an interesting part of a startup, and I think most young companies probably settle to work outside of their office. But I like to actually have meetings and be able to invite people to places. Mm-hmm. We had a very significant meeting a couple weeks ago where it forced us to get a co-working space pretty much. This guy flew out all the way from California. Potential nationwide partnership going on, and it was his first time in New York too.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So you had to host.
Yeah, so we had to host. And we got this really cool co-working space called Primary. It's not the one we're in right now, but it's right next to the Wall Street Bowl. And I'm all about talking to people. And I find that an issue that a lot of entrepreneurs have is that they literally just sit in the basement and talk to themselves, even if they have a team, right? You can even have a team of 7, including yourself like I do. But if you guys only talk to yourselves, you're not going to learn anything. Co-working is important because it allows you to meet some like-minded people and connect with other creatives. And it also allows you for a community where you're appreciated.
So that's why he sets a social and a business goal every day. After he's done with that, he fields his first phone call.
Absolutely a call. Like I said, immediately talk to other people. It's very important. I did my goal setting before 9, so I know what I want to accomplish in the day. I started off today talking about the supply chain. I'm going to talk about it again right now.
Go for it.
I think that having a sustainable supply chain that is concise and is able to fulfill your operational duties as a company is very important. So I would always start the day with a call to our factory. We're lucky to have one that's in the United States, that's in the Eastern time zone, that's able to talk to us and tell us about certain orders that we have or potential production capacities. So just in case we ever get a really big deal out of nowhere, we can be prepared in telling a customer how long it would be until they get their order. Typically one of the ways actually that we're differentiating ourselves from the main player in the straw industry, which is Aardvark Straws right now. Right now, they're the only nationwide straw distributor that has a brand.
Wow. Okay.
When you go to their website to order straws from them, you have to order 19,200 straws.
It's a lot of straws.
Yeah.
So they're kind of weeding out the smaller people.
Exactly.
The smaller,
okay.
Right.
And with that comes a larger cost as well, right?
Are they? I'm sorry to interrupt. Are they They're just plastic straws? They're not doing the same
they're paper
thing?
straws.
Okay.
So basically, they're our number one competitor, and
Gotcha.
then we are trying to steal market share from them because they're literally the only company with a brand right now that's doing this exact thing at a national scale, right? But because they have to produce so much and they have, such a large clientele because they've been in business about 20 years or something. It's crazy. They have a patent. They're a great company. They're a very socially conscious company. I really appreciate the work they do, but for a lot of small cafes, they just cannot afford that expense of 19,000 straws at a time. And also 3 to 4 weeks is the amount of time it takes to receive your order. So it takes a long time to get. When you do get it, it's too much. Where do you even put it? Some of these cafes are so small, especially in the city. There's almost a barrier to entry for plastic straws, which is what we've been trying to mitigate. So like I said, calling the suppliers is super important and starting the day that way.
After the call with the factory, he switches gears, puts on his sales hat, and gets right back on the phone.
So then I would probably get into a sales call later in the day. At 9:30, we would typically, I like to schedule sales calls with the mornings with a lot of places before they start to get interested in starting their own day. So if it's a lunchtime, if it's a cafe, a lunch place, you're not going to call them at around 12, 1 o'clock because they're going to be super busy, right? So you have to do your calls in the morning in the hospitality industry before you start to have people come. I mean, if it's a coffee shop, it's probably the opposite way. But when we call restaurants, it's typically in the morning. So with us, when doing a sales call, and I know you work in sales yourself in business development, so it's never about actually selling straws for us. We can talk about the price of straws if they want, and sometimes we'll give concessions to people that are worried about straws because we're still trying to gain a larger user base. But we're trying to sell the mission of sustainability, right? And making them feel like they're a member. We're subscription-based too, and we have an email newsletter. It's all the things about actually making them feel part of a community, even though they're just receiving straws.
Are these cold calls, or are you making these relationships and kind of warming them up for yourself? Do you have someone doing that for you?
I'm not a fan of cold calls. I apologize for this. This is not good advice, guys. This is really not great advice. You should want to be doing cold calls. I'm a very... I like to talk to people in person, and for me to do a cold call, for someone to understand me, especially my voice actually sounds pretty young, I think too, which kind of sways a lot of people away at times. And also trying to sell straws over the phone. So basically I like to do the email route. The cool part about being a founder or a CEO is that you can tell people in your emails that you are the founder or CEO, and nobody can really know that you're a 20-year-old at times.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is really cool for me because I've been able to talk to some really fantastic people just based on my position. And, even if you're reaching out to a very small cafe or something like that, and you're just sending a very quick email, they're more likely to respond because they're like, wow, this guy. And oftentimes I would even be reaching out to places that I've been to before. I would literally say okay, I got a coffee here last week. I did this with Joe Coffee last week. I got a coffee here. I would love to talk to you about this. And, sometimes it gets a hit on an email, and then you set up a call, and if they're interested, you move forward from there.
Today's a busy day, you guys. It's 11 a.m. and Antonio meets with Seastraws creative director about website design, social media content and metrics, and overall goals for the week.
I try to meet with everyone once individually outside of the weekly retreat type thing that we do. So that's really important to me to have at least one meeting with everyone per day. make sure that they're getting progress and they understand what's going on with the company, because, I'm Ray Dalio guy. Principles, radical transparency is very important. If you guys have read that or heard the audiobook, radical transparency is what's necessary in even a small organization, because you don't want to be hiding anything from anyone. So, with that go, creative director, social media content, looking at our metrics, things like that, gauging to see how well we're doing. If something's not working, what's good. Like today, I suggested like a minor change to the logo. And the cool part about being a startup is that you can change things so fast, right?
Yeah.
So, just little ways. And also, I tell everyone to critique what I'm doing all the time too, which I think is really important. I think every CEO needs to know, because even if you're putting in, the most work on a project and you're working on it full time and the rest of your team isn't, you still have to be accountable for things, because oftentimes, you could screw up, and it's important to have people that will tell you when you do.
So now it's lunchtime. He normally brings his lunch from home, which we're big fans of, but today he hits up Chipotle.
Going out for lunch is also cool because it might provide you with the opportunity to speak to someone that you wouldn't usually speak to.
So hit your social goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So to hit someone at the primary, that you typically haven't spoken to, but maybe I said hello to them in the morning or something like that. That's always interesting. Or, one of our team members, they always appreciate it if we go out to lunch together. So
nice.
That's always fun.
All right. So 1:00.
So
back from lunch now.
Yeah.
You go back to the co-working space, right?
Back to the co-working space for a very little while. This specific day, we were talking to the guy from California that I mentioned before, actually. So they're actually a nonprofit organization, and this provides me a good opportunity to talk about how startups can actually work with nonprofits. I'm very into the whole social enterprise thing, and that goes back to even some of the work I did when I was in Europe, just being interested in creating an enterprise that kind of creates a long-term impact on people. And a lot of people are anti-nonprofit because they have their own goals and they're just really trying to raise money all the time. But you can use that to your advantage if they have a strong user base. So people should definitely understand that. So yeah, I talked to this guy from California for this nonprofit. They've helped us out so much. They're a marine nonprofit. I should probably just mention their name. They're called the Surfrider Foundation. Surfrider is a really fantastic marine nonprofit organization. Working with nonprofits provides you with an outlet to actually ensure that you're doing good, and it's proof of your social purpose. And I think for any social enterprise, if you're not working with nonprofits, it's a mistake.
How did the relationship form?
They found us on Instagram. Okay, this is actually, there's so many cool stories.
That's awesome, man.
This guy, their Australia chapter. So Surfrider is actually probably the largest global marine nonprofit organization.
Okay.
The president of their Australia chapter found our Instagram on the first week.
Wow.
He sent us a message on the contact form on our site. So startup founders, CTOs always have a contact form on your site. We did the site redesign today, and she did not have a contact form on our site at first. So I was like, oh, we need a contact form on our site because people need a way to talk to you that's not sending an email or calling you or buying something. So it allows them just the opportunity to put their name, their email, and whatever they want to say. So Greg, who was the president of Surfrider Australia, just left this comment saying, love what you're doing. Have you ever heard of Surfrider? Would love to connect you to the US, their US operation. And, we did.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah. And from Australia to California to downtown Manhattan, we've been meeting and talking, and it's a lot of fun.
After getting off the phone with Surfrider at 2 p.m., he hits the ground running.
You still want to always talk to your users. It's so important to even talk to people even after they bought their product. And, we're actually a subscription service when we're direct. So, every month is a new month. It's like making a new sale every month, even though it's not. You have to approach it that way. And that's something that a startup founder often makes. It's a mistake that's often made, that they don't feel like every month is a new sale, that they feel like it's just a given when they get it. I would love, we're at the point where I'm still small enough where I can meet with almost everyone that we have, every month. Would love to get to the point where I can't do that, but maybe even still a call from, even if it's not from me, from one of our other people would be just cool. Definitely. To make sure that they're liking the product. Because, like I keep saying, we're not selling straws here. We're selling the whole concept of the membership. As the summer goes along, I would love to just meet everyone that has any impact on our straw. Whether it's Pliables or it's that place in Chelsea that I just talked about before. It's always important to talk to people and understand what the pressure points of the product is before it reaches mass scale. So,
what are some pressure points you're finding?
Unfortunately for us, it's price. And I really hate that. So, we're working on ways internally that we can kind of even go further down the rabbit hole of sacrificing profit for growth. It's something that I don't want to be doing on a case-by-case basis. So, we're finding ways where a creative way to do it is kind of giving like a one-time discount to start, and then they could always change their subscription and then you tell them like, okay, you can always change because, in a winter month, you're not going to use as many straws as in the summer months, of course. And then at the same time, what Aardvark does, and what we've started to do now too, is to decrease the price of straws, have them only provide straws on request. So telling people to, I don't really like that, mostly just because it wasn't my idea, and I don't like to steal other people's ideas. And that was Aardvark's idea. They're the one that started that. But sometimes, you have to learn from the people that have been doing this for years.
Definitely.
So, that's price is a huge pressure point for us. But they have to understand, like I said, we're not looking for everyone. We can't look for everyone.
Right.
Maybe one day we can, but that day isn't today.
Okay, so
All right.
4 p.m., you have a call with your lawyer.
Least favorite time of the day.
Hey.
I've had to call the lawyer on separate occasions, and calling the lawyer is a good thing because it means that you have a big deal in the process. We haven't gotten into any legal troubles so far, so that's always a good thing. But I was someone that I don't really like the whole law thing. So like when I started the company, I did, I set up the company all by myself. I did the trademark all by myself. I didn't want to get a lawyer, do any of those startup lawyer packages because honestly they felt like a ripoff. But when I needed a lawyer in a very pressurized situation, I had to scramble for one. And the lawyer we have now is a really awesome guy. But it was just not a fun experience. So yeah, don't be afraid of lawyers, guys. Like that was probably a mistake I made, which is to not, maybe I wouldn't have had to hire one before to do things like the trademark and the incorporation. I could have still done that by myself, but I should have at least been prepared because I should have known that I would need one fast enough. Well, but it's a good problem to have when I need to talk.
How'd you meet him?
Oh, Up Counsel, actually. So Up Counsel is really cool. I hope a lot of founders that are listening, I hope a lot of people that become founders end up listening to this and are able to hear a lot of these tools and these ways of getting started, because Up Counsel is one of those, you don't have to pay the upfront thing. I'm forgetting what it's called now. Retainer, that's what it's called. So you do not have to pay a retainer for your lawyers on Up Counsel. It's specifically made for startups. Okay. This guy was a very discounted rate considering everyone else I looked at through family connections or work connections or things like that. Up Counsel, they charge you per hour. The guy was really nice. And we created a real relationship with him where, we'll be working with him even outside Up Counsel now. So, but yeah, that's how I found one. Everyone should use them. It would, if I started using them from the beginning, it would have made my process much simpler. So
cool.
Sweet.
All right. So what was, it's lawyer stuff, so you don't have to go too in depth.
Yeah.
But like what was the general?
When you're looking into distribution partnerships, you want to make sure that the language is good. A lot of times considering different percentages, and every deal with the distributor is different. I would love to get into a position where we have, a standardized distribution process where we have a product that's in such good demand that, we have distributors calling us and we just have a standard contract and we're like, sign it and we'll send you hundreds of thousands of straws. That's just not what it's like now though. So, in this small stage, we're still working out the kinks, and a lot of distributors aren't even aware of the paper straw industry right now. But we've been connected with a really good one that, specializes in paper products, especially made in the USA paper products, and has received demand for paper straws without being able to supply it before. So yeah, basically that's like what we were doing in this case. In previous cases, when you can handle something direct, you can. I love to operate on a subscription basis without a contract. If you don't want a product anymore, you don't have to get it. That's fine. Telling you need 30 days to cancel on a straw contract is crazy. So, we're a subscription model. You can cancel at any time, and I'm proud of that. But distribution is kind of an old style of doing business, so you have to do things legally.
Antonio uses Boomerang to schedule emails to go out the next day, and he leaves the office around 5 p.m., but the work does not end at 5 p.m.
Typically, I would stop like working in an office or like anywhere where I'm just on my computer at 5. The thing is that startup founders, your work stays with you all the time. I love to spend my days that are 9 to 5 actually talking to people. And that goes to be both new people, my teammates, the people around the country that are involved in Seastraws right now, distributors, or whoever it is. There's so many people to talk to. And, not everyone's like me where they're working all the time. Not everyone is a founder. Not everyone is entrepreneurial. We're even out of business hours right now talking about this. Yeah. Not everyone is willing to do things out of those 9 to 5 hours. So you have to get people in their comfort zone, right? And I would find that if I'm doing a job, like even when I was in sales, I would do prospecting when I got home because, I would find it more worth it to spend my time talking to people during the day. Maybe I'm just an overachiever, but I would get paid. I wouldn't be paid for those hours, but I would hope that it would have helped me in the long run. So the job never ends and the job follows you around. But, what's interesting to me about the whole concept of being a founder is that this was literally just an idea in my head a long time ago. And of course, I thought about it a lot and, really put a lot of effort into creating a sustainable supply chain. And, now we're getting a real sales pipeline that, hopefully becomes more automated in the future and working with distributors and things like that. But, your company has to be an extension of you. But what's most interesting is when it evolves beyond yourself, right? And so many times, because the website is continually live and we are an e-commerce platform, just to see people surfing it no matter what time of the day it is. Google Analytics is huge. Like I love to do that at night. Look at things that don't involve working with other people at night and just kind of analyzing us strategically because there's less distractions, especially late night,
Yeah. Love the 2 a.m. grind, right?
I actually do. Loud music in my head. I have this bad habit. Monster is like really cool.
What a day. Once the grind starts, it never stops. Well, that wraps up part 2 of Experience a Diddle's 3-part series, starting up in school with Seastraws founder and CEO Antonio DiMeglio. If you haven't already, be sure to listen to Antonio's experience episode before you move on to Antonio's advice episode. But if you're all caught up, next is Antonio's advice episode, which includes advice from one college student to another. We'll open his toolbox, share his college advice, financial guidance, and industry insight.
Thanks for listening. Each week, we bring you interviews from professionals in the jobs that you want, highlighting each guest's career experience on Mondays, a day in the life on Wednesdays, and their advice to you on Fridays.
Visit our website, experienceadiddle.com, to find the show notes for this episode with all relevant links and photos. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at Experience a Diddle. That's Experience ADITL. And of course, we're here to help all students make more informed career decisions. Visit our website to read all A Diddle articles from all different jobs and careers interviewed, written, and published for students by students. You can sign up to join the A Diddle Army at experienceadiddle.com/students, and let's grow together.
We want to pay for your textbooks. As an ongoing contest, at the end of each semester, we'll randomly pick a winner from our subscribers who wrote us a review and buy all of their textbooks. So hit subscribe and tell us what you think about the show, and remember, you will be great.